Hello, lovely people. This is Nicole.
And this is Samantha.
With the power of we are here to switch it up and teach you about business, relationships, and how to not only survive, but make it in Los Angeles.
In each episode, we will have top influential guests from the world of real estate. We work hard,
We stage hard.
and we get it done.
The power of we.
Welcome back to the Power of We official podcast. In case you guys don't notice, who am I missing? Yep, that's true. I could cry thinking about it. Nicole is out today. You know, sometimes in life you have to keep going. And, you know, we came back from London, which was incredible, you guys. We got to speak to amazing stagers in London and get them motivated. And it was so powerful. But when we got back, we were so busy. So she had to go out and sell. So I'm here. You've got me. Yay. Anyway, today we have the most amazing guest. I met this guest about a year ago. Yes. Mm-hmm. And I can't even tell you, I cannot wait to introduce her. Vicky Schiff is a powerhouse in real estate, private equity, and entrepreneurship. She's the founder and managing partner behind some of the most innovative and real estate investment platforms. And her career spans decades of buildings, scaling, and advising multi-million-dollar ventures. What inspires us most about Vicky is not only her business success, but the strengths and clarity she brings as a leader. She has broken barriers, navigated complex markets, and continues to pave the way for women in industries that are traditionally male-dominated. Welcome, Vicky.
Oh my gosh, do you know, I met you, this girl kicks ass. So my house had just burned down from the Palisades fire. The next day I got in my car with my child,
which is amazing that you did that.
15 at the time. Was he 15? He was 16 at the time, just turned 16. I'm like, we have to go find a place to live. We found a place. I wouldn't leave this house until I negotiated a lease. And the broker recommended Samantha. I called her up. She showed up within hours. She's I got you. And this house was it was an 8-bedroom house. It was completely empty. Mm-hmm. She showed up immediately and she's like, I got you. 2 days later or something like that, she had it completely staged and it looked perfect. And it made us feel, our family feel so comforted in this time when so many people were traumatized, including us. We had to get out of our house in 10 minutes with our dogs. And I tell everybody, like, you were a light in that whole experience, more than almost anybody I'd met. Because
I'm going to cry again.
No, because you're like, I got you.
Yeah.
And there's so few people that I know on the planet that when they don't approach life like that. Like, I got you. You can trust me. It's done. Most people are like, what do I do again? How do I do it? What did you tell me again? You know, and you just had me.
But you know,
and I trusted you, and it was like you showed up. Everything was organized. It was in and out. Like, I don't know. It's just very, very rare that you see that kind of mindset,
right?
And intellect pushed into execution in the way that you do it every day. So
thank you so much.
Really, really, really
You're
appreciate
so
that.
sweet.
Well, I'm not being sweet. I'm just telling. I'm telling you the way it is.
It's interesting because we went through pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And then I went through the fires, and my mindset was exactly the same as pandemic. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? And I literally created a plan that night while the fires were happening. And I put it out on social media, and next thing you know, there was call after call. And it was not easy to go and watch all you guys. I felt bad for you. You know, I think for me, it was like my heart. I mean, I didn't do this business just for money. I did it to help people and to give back. But I think that what was the coolest experience during that awful time is that, you know, people were such in gratitude. And when I showed up, I knew you were a CEO. I knew you were someone that was very successful because the way you handled everything was very matter of fact. You weren't emotional about it. Obviously, you were with your family, but you wanted to get things done. And, that brings me to who you are. How did you even start your business and how did you get started?
So I grew up in Las Vegas. My dad was a developer.
Yes,
he built
we
some of
heard.
the hotels as a general contractor and his own portfolio of industrial properties. And from the time I was a little kid, he started taking me to meetings with him.
Wow.
So I was born when he was in his 50s. I was his first child. And he's just like, I'm training her. It wasn't like, oh, let me take you shopping for dresses, little girl. It was like, I'm training you.
Interesting.
And so he'd take me to bank meetings. I'd sit in the corner and be like, I want to go home.
Right.
And he made me listen to his phone calls and go to job sites with him and collect rents with him. And I absolutely detested it because I wanted to be doing something fun.
Right,
but
of course.
Later, I was so grateful that I had that experience with
100%.
this amazing, amazing man who was born in 1915.
Well, you know what's strange is that I had the same experience with my dad in real estate.
Right.
I knew there's always been a synergy between you and I.
Yeah.
And my father used to do the same thing, take me to all these houses and real estate and make me listen. And I'd be like, oh, brother, this is awful.
Right.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So that I got a sense of confidence. He never, even though he was born in 1915, he never said to me, you're a girl, you can only see, he never said anything about
That you couldn't
that I
do
was
it.
a girl or I wasn't a girl. He never said anything about that. He just said, don't work for anybody, guide your, forge your own path, think for yourself. And that he gave me those tools when I was really young.
And when do you think you started really thinking for yourself? What age?
My dad passed away when I was 19. Mm-hmm. And so I always thought, oh, well, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I was going to be an orthopedic surgeon. Mm-hmm. And when he passed away, I had to make some decisions, and I was still in school at USC. Mm-hmm. And I had to make some decisions about what do I really want to do with my life. So I finished my pre-medical degree, and I followed in his path and went into real estate right away. So I think that when my dad died, I had to face the fact that I wasn't on my own. I'm not trying to sound like, I had nobody around me to support me.
Right.
But he was my biggest support system.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I
Me
was
too.
just like, okay, you're on your own. And the person that I was so reliant on passed away. So I knew that if I wanted to do something, I had to just get rid of the fear or keep the fear and just do it anyway. Like life is only so many days. It made me understand mortality when I was really young.
Right.
So life is only so many days. If you're scared of something, you better just do it anyway.
That is
'cause
so
it doesn't
crazy.
matter because you're not going to be here in 100
Exactly.
years or 50 years.
And you're saying something that's so important that I want the audience to really listen to. And what do I always tell you guys? Fear. You cannot live in the fear. Absolutely not. If I lived in the fear, I would not have a company today.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Yep.
And so your background, I didn't even know this was very similar to mine because my dad died when he was 88 years old and I was in my 20s. So, and he was my life too.
Right.
So did you have to, I know he owned or built hotels in Vegas. Did you have to help with that process?
I didn't. I stayed here. I finished my education and I just independently started working. I was lucky enough that when I started my first business around 30, just under 30, that my stepmother invested in that business and helped me get that started. It was a self-storage company.
So you're always an entrepreneur and you didn't even know.
Yeah, so I was grateful for her that she helped me, but beyond that, I've never really been involved on the day-to-day of our businesses. Yeah.
So at what age did the entrepreneurship start for you?
I think at that night when my dad passed away and just hearing his voice, like, you have to carve your own path.
And your first company was?
It was a self-storage company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what do you think you learn? So that's great because, a lot of people now and there's tons of entrepreneurs, right? When I was starting, there wasn't a lot of entrepreneurs, but people always get stuck. What would be one bit of advice as a new entrepreneur? What would you say to them?
So I also teach I teach in the business school at UCLA, and I teach a class called Business Creation Capstone. So the students can either do a master's thesis or they can start a business, like a mock business.
Right.
And then
That's very cool.
And then some of them go forward with that business after graduation. But what I always say to them is being an entrepreneur is putting your head down on your pillow and not knowing what's going to happen the next day. But having a vision.
Yes.
And behaving into the void, like taking action into the void when there's absolutely no evidence that what you have in your head is going to happen, and just continuing to take action into that void. You have to have some plan. You can't be just like, it's a new day every day.
Right.
So having a vision of what you want to create, being very specific, and working backwards and taking those action items. So if, for example, you have to meet with an investor and that investor says no, you can say that either wasn't the right thing for that investor, no matter what I do, that person's going to say no, or I didn't present myself right. I didn't know the business. I wasn't able to explain why me. I wasn't able to explain the expertise I bring to this. I didn't know the numbers cold. Some way about the way I presented this didn't land. So what can I learn? So it was always what can I learn? What can I learn? What can I learn from not getting the outcome that I sought at that particular moment? And sometimes it's a shift in the way that I approached it, and sometimes that other side of the trade just wasn't available for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say that having investors is a good thing, and having investors sometimes doesn't always work out. What do you think about that?
Sometimes I would be happy to be one of those people who just trade stock in their basement and never has to talk to anybody. But I don't have that skill set, and I didn't train for that. So whenever you're dealing with another human being, it introduces complexity, even if you're dealing with your child or your husband or any other human being.
But sometimes it's scary. Like you're doing your own business and let's say you've had a partner and the partner has been great for so long, and then you have to get rid of them. And they think, oh my God, but I want to do this and this and this with my business, but I'm scared to get an investor, because what does that mean? Are they going to run my whole business? How does that work? You know what I'm saying?
It's a documentation issue.
Yeah.
What's the structure and what's the decision? How you make major decisions within an operating agreement, and that's very legal. But you have to, even if you have a legal framework for how you're dealing with your business and your partner, you still want to make sure you have somebody that you feel like you can work with. And sometimes it's great at the beginning, and maybe 10 years later, you guys go off on different directions in the way that you think, and then you have to have mechanisms in an operating agreement to.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I have one of my best friends is a lawyer, and she runs a very large company, and she always says, "What's on paper? What's on paper? What's on paper?" So making sure. The other thing that
that's very true.
Yes.
You guys listen to this, because a lot of times you go in business with your cousin, your brother, your uncle, and you don't have it in writing.
Yes.
Absolutely do not do that. Even I have a family business, and everything's, we have contracts. So, if something happens, and we also have coaches. That's really important as a family business.
Yes.
So I personally believe that any businesses need someone else to come in like a coach. I don't know if you advocate on that, but it seems that I've done that the whole time, and that's why, it's worked for me. So what do you think? I know you're on a million boards. So what is one story that comes to mind when you think of your boards and how you're doing business and how it works for you?
Well, it's very different if you're on a public company board versus if you're on a private company board.
Okay,
so in a public company board, you're there to protect the shareholders, and it's very, very structured. You're not there to operate the business. You're not there to.
That's interesting.
You're there to oversee the management team to make sure they're doing the right thing.
And is that hard sometimes?
I mean, you have to be competent.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have a financial background. There's certain things that public companies look for and the people that they're hiring as directors. So it can't be, you know, you got to have a relevant amount of experience in whatever they're doing. But on a private company board, it's a little bit more entrepreneurial, and then it depends what they've put that board together for. One board I was on was a very large company that had a family members that worked in the business, and we did a shorter term 3-year board to transition the business from the older members of the family to the younger members of the family.
That must have been challenging.
It was amazing.
Really? I love that.
The kids were amazing. They all worked on Wall Street before they got to this company. They were educated and they earned their way in, and they've grown this business dramatically since that. So that was one board. Another board is one that's a large real estate developer that they really seek let's sit around and brainstorm ideas. Is there someone you can introduce me to in this area?
Right. That's great.
It's a little bit more free-flowing and
that's
entrepreneurial.
Nice.
And
that's probably more fun.
Yeah. Public company boards, you meet 4 times a year, unless there's something going on where you have to have a special committee or something like that to make a decision that's outside of the normal course of business. But it's fun. And then I have mentees. You know, I have women that I mentor, that I meet with.
That's incredible.
A couple times, you know, maybe
and
a
what
couple
are they?
times a quarter.
And tell us about that. Who are you mentoring, and what are they doing?
Usually young women in real estate private equity.
Okay, and they wanted to do what?
They're not just starting their careers, but maybe they're a few years in, and just to talk about how they're looking at, you know, how they're dealing with their boss, or how they're looking at their own career, or what chances to take, and what risks to take in their career, and how they're organizing themselves, and just everybody's different. So great. That's fun. There's not a lot of women in real estate private equity, so I want more and more.
Which is I'm glad we talked about that, because when I first started in my company, I dealt with male figures all the time. So people always ask me, why are you so tough? Why are you like a New York? They always think I'm very New York. Well, my father was from New York, but it's because I dealt with all men for so many years. It was all builders and, you know, real estate developers, and there wasn't a lot of entrepreneur women. So a couple people wrote in and asked this question. Real estate and private equity are still male-dominated fields. What has it been like navigating and succeeding in those spaces?
I've never had an issue. I mean, I
Really?
think if you show up and you're competent.
Yeah.
I've had one time in my entire career when I was in my 20s that I felt some level of chauvinism towards me, but I haven't had any of that since.
That's great.
Never.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe I'm not focused on it. I've been there's these big conferences in commercial real estate, and a lot of times now in the past decade, they have like breakouts for women, and everyone has a breakfast.
I mean, when do you think that started, though?
Probably a decade ago.
Yeah, like 10 years ago.
So, sometimes I walk in these rooms and there are breakfasts, and there could be 100 women sitting there. We kind of go around the table and people have these group conversations. And, I hear this like, oh, I went to a meeting and I said something and my boss just ignored me. And then the guy next to me said the same thing and said, oh, that's a great idea. The issue for me is I've never worked at a big company. So I've been a president or CEO of my company since I was 29, 30.
Right.
So I've never been in a situation where I worked at some large company and I felt like that. So the difference between me and maybe somebody that said, I was in this meeting and I was passed over and the guy next to me said the same thing and they thought it was a brilliant idea. I've never been in that situation because I've never been that one of many people in a room.
Right. And that brings me back to when I started, like, you had to make it. There was no, you can't say this, you can't say that. I had to do whatever I took to feed my kids.
Right.
I was a single mom.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? This is what I had to do. So whatever happened, I had to not be in the fear again. I had to be strong and I had to be very upfront with them. And so I try and teach my girls, to be honest, be secure. That's a huge one. Be secure. And don't let other people, who cares what they're saying? Just do the job and you will get the business.
Right.
I
agree. Yeah.
But, so I met you obviously a while ago and, through all of that. And now you are living in this beautiful house in Hancock Park and you have this business. What are you doing to take care of yourself? Because you're this big, you have everything. When I look at you, I'm like, wow, she has everything. She's successful. She has an amazing husband, amazing kid. You just have it all. So what do you do to take care of yourself?
No matter what I do, I go to a 45-minute class at Equinox every day. I don't care where the Equinox is.
And I even went with you once.
You went with me once. So I do that. Before I moved, before the fire, I was meditating every single day, and I just have let that go by the wayside. So that's another thing
that you're going to work on for 2026.
I'm going to work. It's easy. I could do it right now. We do meditation right now for 5 minutes. It's not,
but it's so easy to forget.
Yeah.
Unless you're going through, times that you're like in your mindfulness. I meditate a lot, but when I was in London and Paris, I wasn't meditating. And then I came back and then I fell off it. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to get back. And I actually meditated in the car on when I got here. I'm like,
do it.
You know what, 5 minutes, let's do it. But that's great. And so I know you guys travel a ton. So what's your next big trip?
I am going to Sydney, Australia, I think in February. And I know that we're also going to Thailand. As you know, I'm in this organization called YPO.
That's what I was going to get to next, which is so amazing. I wish I could have done it. So can you tell us a little bit about YPO?
So it's an organization of CEOs and presidents. It's global. I think we have 35,000 members.
It's incredible.
In every country. And you have a local chapter, and then there's networks within the broader organization. So I was elected the chair of the real estate network. Last year, I'm serving my second year now as reelected this year.
Wow, congratulations.
We have 6,500 people in the real estate network.
That's amazing.
We've set up so there's regional champions on our board. So we'd set up in every place in the world regional meetings. So I have a great woman in Mina. She's in Dubai. Next time you're there, I'll introduce you to her.
I should have let you know when I was there.
Let me know
I would
next
have loved
time.
to do some business there, actually.
She's very in the mix with all the developers there. And so we have a female that runs our Middle East, North America region, and she's doing events, and we have people in London and all over the world, but that's been fun. But the core of YPO is that it's you have a personal board of directors. So in my forum, my local forum, not my real estate network forum, but my local forum, there'll be 7 other people that are CEOs of companies. It won't be real estate. It will be
incredible.
Somebody runs a magazine, somebody runs an entertainment company, somebody runs a gaming company, somebody runs. So we get together 4 hours, about 4 hours a month, and it's a very structured meeting.
And how do you get in? I get that, but I guess what I want them to know is how can they get involved in something like that if they're a big person in their industry?
Well, there's other organizations. YPO has qualifications. You can go on the website and look at what your qualifications are. But there's EO, which is entrepreneurship organization. So there's Vistage, there's other organizations like this that take that concept of the personal board of directors. It's kind of like a mastermind group, I guess in some sectors they call it that.
Which is amazing.
Where you really have a group of people that you can have real confidential conversations with. They don't want anything from you. You're there to provide them feedback. They're there to provide you feedback. You help each other. You cheer each other on. And when you're going through challenges, they're there for you with really like practical sharing. Like, I went through
incredible.
you're in a forum. I'm going through X, Y, and Z situation with my business partner, with my husband, with my child, whatever, and then another person would say, I went through something similar and here was my action steps. And here's some resources that I could lean on in order to get me through that particular situation.
That I wish I had that.
So
the last 15
it's amazing.
years.
I'm really,
That's
really
incredible.
lucky to be involved with
And
that.
how long have you been involved
20
in that?
years.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's
So
only
that's-
maybe about 10% women globally.
Wow.
So it's not, we don't have a huge, they've been really pushing for more women to join. But it's still, a female CEO or president with the qualifications that you need to join YPO it's hard. So
Yeah.
our female membership is, in the minority,
Wow. But that's
even though we're 50%
incredible.
of the population.
That's
okay.
amazing. But so I think the last thing I was going to ask you was if, there are a lot of people watch this. They're not at your level. Obviously, they're starting businesses. They get frustrated. They don't know where to start their business. They have these great ideas. What would you tell them? What would be one advice you would tell them to do?
Oh gosh. Like since I've been working with these UCLA teams for the past 4 years, that's a great thing. So let me tell you what our UCLA teams do.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
helpful. So they have an idea. It could be one of my teams that just won. We had a kind of a demo day, which was like a pitch day, was a Shark Tank kind of day at UCLA.
How
and my
fun.
team won the votes. They were creating a soap. It was a soap. One of the guys in the group had a coffee company. They upcycled the coffee grinds into a soap, and there was a doctor on the team, and they're adding ingredients for efficacy. So they had an idea, like we want to create this product. So at UCLA, they are required to have both primary research and secondary research. The primary research is like if I wanted to start a furniture company for for college kids.
Right.
I'm like, I don't even know how to start. I had this idea because I lived in a dorm and everything available
Exactly.
okay, well, now I got to go talk to people in the market to see if it's a good idea. Let me call Samantha. Samantha, I have this idea. What do you think? So they have to do like 150 interviews like that of
That's
people in the
amazing.
market. Then they might call a manufacturer and say, how much would this cost to do this? And how much of my run rate do I need? And what's my contract with you? And then the secondary research might be something like they're looking in AI or they're looking at articles and they're seeing the, where the industry is headed, what the changes it's gone through.
That's great.
So you have to know what you're doing.
I wish I had that.
So it's not just, I'm just going to start calling people.
Right.
So one of the things is you start to do research. If you can't tell, if you're going to raise money or you're looking for a customer, if you can't tell that investor or that customer what you do in 90 seconds, you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
So you could take a big idea that's complex, but you got to break it down so that if I told you, here's what I do, that you would, could tell you in 2 sentences.
Right.
So that takes actually a lot of work. So knowing how to explain what you're doing and doing the research, because you in a vacuum could think like no one's doing this, but once you start to investigate the market, you're like, wow, there's so many versions of this. Now, how do I slot myself in and how do I differentiate myself? So my suggestion is if you have an idea, that's fantastic, but do the research, put together a 10-page deck, why, what's the problem? Why now? What's the solution? Who are the team members? What are the numbers? Something like that. And be able to articulate your business to yourself. And you could practice pitching on other people, but being able to articulate the business versus just starting down a road, not knowing enough about the market to try to enter it, you will fail. So doing that work.
Wow. Well, you heard it here from Vicky Schiff. If you want to start a business, you better listen to this. This was amazing.
Thank you.
Oh my God. I learned so much. I'm so excited
I
to
always
have
learn so
you
much
on.
from you.
Oh my
Seriously.
God. You're so, I need to come to you for my furniture line. I know. I always say to you, that is amazing. So many people will get so much out of this. I mean, you give back so much to so many people and I hear you also when I'm over talking to, your friends and your colleagues. It's nice to see another woman really giving back like you do. And I just want to tell you thank you so much,
my
and I
gosh, thank
appreciate you.
And thank you for your friendship and inviting me here
know,
today. I
this
really
is
appreciate it.
amazing.
I don't do a lot of these, but like
I
when
know
you asked
it was
me,
very hard to get you on here.
No, when you asked me, it's absolutely because you've made such a difference in my life this past year. Really, truly.
Oh, I'm so glad. And you made such a difference in so many people's lives, not just mine and Fernando's. And I thank you so much. And thank you for being on The Power of We.
Absolutely. Thank you.